The Underground Pass. It was probably one of the first long quests you did, but completing everything with a quest guide doesn't really leave you with any knowledge on what you actually did there. So in this video, I'll be telling you the story of the Underground Pass. The grinds, the quests. There is so much to do in Runescape, so much to explore. Today we'll be exploring the rich history of Runescape. If you really want to understand the game you are playing, you must know its history. In this episode, we will be looking at the history behind the Underground Pass and its ruler called Iban. Not much is known about Iban's early life, apart from being a well-educated noble and enjoying the finer things in life. Iban joined the Kinshra, also called the Black Knights, and trained under Decarius Renard. The Kinshra or Black Knights have a fortress just above the Ice Mountain. The Kinshra Order serve as Zamorak's soldiers and are the rivals of Saradomin's White Knights. The Kinshra attacked Falador just 5 years ago. The records of this fight are written in a book called The Betrayal at Falador. This battle took just under a week, and the White Knights were victorious. One of the Kinshra that fought in this battle was called Iban. Iban was a great fighter, and personally slayed hundreds of White Knights. Iban wanted to become more. He wanted to control the hearts and minds of his fellow men to make them as strong as him. But he was killed in the battle called Dawn Ascent by a White Knight called Sir Owen. As Iban's corpse collected dust, a witch called Cardia found it and decided to resurrect him, so that he could fulfill his wish of leading an army of undead. To do this, she proceeded with a ritual that would render her able to revive the fallen knight. First, she took some of Iban's flesh from his body and smeared it out on a doll that looked like Iban. She needed Iban's blood next, but it had long seeped away from his body, so Cardia traveled to the Underground Pass, a huge and dangerous system of caverns going underneath the Galapagos Mountains, and connecting the forest of Isafdar to West Outdown. There she found a colony of giant yellow spiders led by Kalrag, known to devour humans. She killed one such spider and used its blood for Iban's doll. For the essence of life itself, Cardia performed the dark, ancient ritual of Inkensia, which nearly killed her. She recovered, however, and found 3 demons, Halfion, Dumion, and Ophanian, focusing their energy on the doll, and she realized she had bound them to him forever as the guardians of Iban's shadow. For the final part, she needed to provide Iban with a conscience, to prevent him from becoming a mindless zombie. In her own words, "Locked inside an old wooden cage sat a beautiful white dove, a symbol of peace, freedom and hope, but also the oblivious to the darkness of the world, like a newborn child. Taking the dove with me, I cradled the thing in my arms, stroking its soft, downy feathers. I looked into the eyes of the bird, and gently placing a kiss upon its fragile head, I then strangled the bird, taking its life between my callous fingers. Truly, this bird will be the conscience of Iban, innocent, corrupted by evil." At the end of this ritual, Iban was reincarnated and began to live in a temple that resided in the Underground Pass. Iban would lock his victims into cages until their minds would completely succumb to his rule. Then they would join his army of soulless, with no trace of any humanity. Additionally, there are many blessed spiders, such as the one Cardia had killed in the past, that are described as Iban's pets. This temple possessed the power to bring people from the elven land of Teruin into Kenderin, through a well called the Well of Voyage. This well was constructed by the elves in the Second Age as a meaning of expanding their land, but it was corrupted by Ivan, transforming it into a Well of the Damned. Anything that would be thrown into this well would be sent to the darkest realms of Zamorak. After he took control of the well, he gained some followers who worshipped Ivan as his disciples in a cult-like manner. Ivan slowly took over the mind of anyone that tried to enter the pass, whispering to them with eerie voices. These voices would come to corrupt all who were brave or foolish enough to enter Ivan's domain. A most notable example being the famous adventurer Randaz. Someone wrote a book about Randaz called The Spirit of the Pass. Reading this book gives us a better insight in what happened in the pass. You must be careful walking through the underground pass. It is filled with the spirit of Zamorak. You can feel it as you wind your way round the stalagmites, like an icy chill that threatens to penetrate the fabric of your being. Not so many travelers come down here these days, but there are some who are still foolhardy enough. I remember seeing one such warrior going by the name of Randaz. He stood tall and proud like an elven king, but that same pride made him vulnerable to Zamorak's calls. Randaz's worthy desire to be a great and mighty warrior also made him corruptible to Zamorak's promises of glory. Zamorak showed him a way to achieve his goals by appealing to that most base and dark nature that resides in us all. It starts as a whisper in your ears. Dismissing the sounds as the whistling of the wind, Randaz steeled himself against these forces and he continued on his way. But the whispers became moans, at once fearsome and enticing, like the call of some beautiful siren. "Join us," the voices cried. "Join us." "Why fight against your nature?" they asked Randaz. "Your greatness lies within you, but only Zamorak can truly unlock your potential." In time, these voices became visions. Visions of human armies wasted by some unseen hand. Their bodies lay heaped together like some amorphous mass of mutilated flesh. And standing on top of this great heap stood Randaz, a bloody sword in one hand and a glazed look in his eyes. A destroyer of his own people, but a victor all the same. Upon entering Zamorak's tower, it is said that Randaz performed a ritual that would alter his spirit forever. Kneeling down at the sacred altar, he spilled his blood into a silver chalice and offered it to Zamorak. Randaz began to chant the words of ancients, strange, twisted noises from the deep in the bowels of eternity. This was the spirit of Zamorak, pulsing through his body like the cry of an animal from some unholy sacrifice. His whole form began to convulse as charges streamed through his muscles, but the power was too much for his mind. It was as if the forces of darkness were a black cloud expanding inside his head. As he witnessed yet more ghoulish and nightmarish visions, the world outside seemed too distant to great in front of him. The world was still there. It was Randaz's mind that had been broken. And now if you get lost in the tunnels, you might just stumble into Randaz, a shadow of a man. His eyes are hollow, with no life behind them, for Randaz is part of the asylum now. Just one of the many walking dead. A human vegetable, he wanders the tunnels in a zombie state, oblivious to all his surroundings. Ask him about Zamorak, and he will tell you as much as he can remember. He may even tell you more about the ritual that he performed. Just don't let curiosity get the better of you. The story of Ivan was a tragic one. As one of the Black Knights, he believed he was on the right side, and so he died believing he was a good man. Then he was corrupted by an evil witch, leaving him only with his dark desires. There will be more information about the underground pass in a dedicated video. Thanks for watching this episode of Old School Runescape History and Lore. Don't forget to check out the other lore videos and subscribe if you like this content. Have a great day.